I don't think you should focus on what they should, like what college they should go to or stuff in that nature, but more of finding what they're passionate about or what their interests are in and what they think is really fun doing.
Hey, welcome to the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast. This is a really cool episode for me because I have with me my son, Bryson Rammage, and we're going to have a conversation today about what's going on in his life because it's very relevant to you if you are a parent. And so hang in there because there's going to be some really cool conversations and maybe a little different thinking than you've had in the past about how you raise your kids and what their career path will be. We're going to talk about those things. But first, I want to kind of talk about something that both of us are really excited about, and that's the upcoming big event. The big event is something the Brotherhood of Fatherhood is promoting and sponsoring along with Cornerstone of America and my friend Alex Jowdy. We put together this big event. Basically what we did is put an event together that we wanted to attend. So it's going to be pretty freaking epic. It's in September. Check out our webpage, Brotherhood of Fatherhood. Actually, it's not Brotherhood of Fatherhood. It's brotherhoodfatherhood.com. Check it out. Go look at that. There's going to be a teaser video up really soon and get an idea of what's going on at that. It's going to be fun. Our main sponsor is Element. So I just want to do a quick shout out to Element. If you haven't tried Element, you need to pick up a box. It's crazy how good this stuff works. I also have an awesome sponsor, Loam Coffee. Loam Coffee is kind of like a big give back company. So they have a mission of helping less fortunate individuals, typically in third world countries, Guatemala coffee, South America, South America, providing mountain biking experiences and among other things. So it's really cool. They're a group of mountain bikers and I'm too a mountain biker. So, and their coffee is good, which is super important. But anyway, brotherhoodfatherhood.com. Make sure you check that out. Welcome to the show, Bryson.
Hello.
Hey. So, first of all, I'm just going to kind of throw you into the wolves here and have you kind of tell everybody like who you are, what you're doing. Just give a general overview of yourself.
My name is Bryson. I'm 18. I just graduated from high school. However, I am not going to college. I'm actually doing an internship with my dad, and I'm just going to jump into the business world, figure out how things work, how to set up my future in the business world, and gain experience. That's the basic gist.
Yeah. So I kind of want to unpack that story a little bit and talk about kind of the evolution of what happened because you applied for colleges, right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
I had applied for colleges. I wasn't super into it. I was going to major in music. But as the closer I got to it, the more I realized that probably not the route I would go down because it's not something I would be particularly fond of in the future. I was only looking forward to the college experience, and personally, I didn't think that that was worth the money. I could be doing a lot better things with my life and gaining more valuable experiences, basically.
Okay, so let's talk about that because I kind of struggled. I have a master's degree. Your mom has a doctorate degree. So we're very educated. And here we are doing businesses. Your mom and I totally separate from what our degrees are in. Hers is a little tied. But you've watched this through your life. You've watched us do different businesses. You've watched us fail. You've watched us succeed. You've lived through the bike shop. You've lived through our direct sales company years. You've lived through the gym years. You've lived through me as an educator and your mom as a physical therapist. Like what part of you is saying, college is not for me?
I just see like that success is more focused around experience and not necessarily like here you go, you can go off to life now. So for what I was wanting, there wasn't anything I wanted out of college that I couldn't do in the real world off the bat straight out of high school.
Okay. Wow. Well, I was super excited.
Yeah.
The one thing, there was a conversation we had when we gotten word. So to give it a little more context, Bryson's a trombone player, and in Texas, playing music is extremely competitive, top in the nation, basically, especially the schools he's at. It's top 10 in the nation. So when you talk about instrument, marching band, playing, you are at the very, very, probably the top 1% in the United States as far as playing ability. And you were high up in the band too. You're at the top level band. You went to nationals in the marching event, which was a crazy experience. And so you're very talented in playing trombone. You got into a special jazz band this year. You did all these things and you loved playing. One thing that I talk a lot about, Bryson, is letting your kid find their way. So let me back up and reset the stage. Why did you choose band over like sports? And did you ever feel like anybody was pushing you in any particular direction? Let's move back beyond college. We'll get to the college thing, but let's talk about how you kind of went a different direction than most people would try to push their kids.
Well, a lot of people, I had to get this out of the way. A lot of people think I didn't enjoy sports, which isn't true. But with playing the instrument, I found that the community was a lot better for me, and that I also felt a lot more competitively driven in that area, and that was the first time I kind of knew what it felt like to really win at something, and so I just kept going at it.
Yeah, I love that, because I talk about giving your kid opportunities outside of what you see as a parent, what you think they should be doing. I see a lot of parents, like they played, baseball, so their kids are playing baseball and they're just as into it, if not more than their kids. Have you seen that a lot?
All the time.
Yeah. How do you feel that, do you think that messes with the relationship between a father and son, or a father and a daughter, or mother and father and a son or daughter?
I don't think it's wrong to carry in the footsteps of what your parents want to, but I think the opening up is a big part of it. You got to talk to your parents if you're actually not interested in that kind of stuff. And I feel like the way that the parents and their sons or daughters relationship, they can maybe come off as condescending and wanting them to fulfill almost what they hadn't. And so they have these really high expectations of, I really enjoyed baseball, but I didn't get to where I wanted to. So I'm going to have my kid get up into that spot. But if the kid doesn't enjoy it, then that creates a bad relationship.
Yeah, there's definitely an equation for disaster or a fractured relationship for sure. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that. I see it happening right now. I see a lot of dads pushing their kids in this direction. And one thing I talk a lot about to the men is like, give your kids as many experiences as they're willing to have. Make them stick with it long enough so they really know. But what I loved is that you got into band and all of a sudden you found this place where you could compete. You weren't the best, you weren't the worst. You had to work for it, and you worked really hard, and it drove you. And I saw a whole new level of Bryson come out. You came out of your skin, you found your friends, you found your group. And it's like, okay, like I'll put every egg in that basket for Bryson. I know nothing about playing music. I'm horrible. You've heard me. I'm horrible at singing. I can listen to music. I can hear music. I can name artists. Like there's no tomorrow, you know that. But when it comes to that world, I'm completely, I didn't know anything going into it. So, okay, let's put that aside. So here you are going into college, and you applied to a college that has a pretty kind of very high level trombone band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why did you apply to that? And then tell us what happened.
I didn't want to apply for any college that I felt like wasn't going to be a challenge, because I really enjoyed. I don't want to make something and then get first spot off the bat. That's not very satisfactory to me, because then I know I'm already at the top. What now?
Yeah.
And that also goes back to, that's why I kind of stopped playing too. I think I had kind of almost fulfilled what I had wanted to, my goals. But I had applied for that college, and I did really well. I was 2 away from making it, maybe 1 away. I don't remember now, and there was like 50 people that applied and they only let 5 in. So I'm not disappointed with my results at all, but I think that was the wake up call that I was kind of done with that world. And I don't want it to make it sound like I stopped because I had failed. I've failed a lot of times in high school, like countless times, and messed up a lot. So it wasn't anything to do with that. It was that I think I had already kind of reached my goals, and I didn't have necessarily any higher expectations for myself, and wanted to move on to another area in my life where I could grow a lot more.
Yeah. So when I heard the word, and your mom and I heard the word that you hadn't made it, we were both almost devastated. I was really not wanting you to go to college, but then when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to embrace him wanting to go to college because he's driven to do it because of this trombone program. Then you got the alternate, right? You were like, boom, hey, you're next in line. But of course, everybody's going to accept it because it's a very sought after program.
Right.
And so on that day, there was actually tears. And so between your mom and I, and I was really mixed with my emotions because I'm like, here I am. I'd rather Bryson pursue a business, but my brain, right? Like not necessarily was right for you. I knew college would be an awesome experience. You'd meet new people. It'd be a great experience, life experience. I didn't really believe in the whole education part. And also you don't want to be a teacher. And that's pretty much what you do when you play an instrument is you teach.
Right.
And so you said something, I don't know if you're going to remember this. We took you out to dinner that night and we said, well, let's have a talk. Let's discuss what's next. Like, what are we going to do, Bryson? And you said something about yourself. And I'm hoping you can remember it. That I was like, in that millisecond, I was done being upset about you not getting into that program. And I knew at that minute that it had nothing to do with the fact that you were giving up. It was more the fact of, hey, this is who I am. Do you remember what you said?
I remember maybe, I'm not sure exactly what you are thinking of, but my thoughts after thinking about it for a while, because I have a strong belief in that time heals all wounds. So I just let it sit for a little while. I wasn't actually very upset that I didn't make it, but I had realized that the external point of it, of them saying you didn't make it, that doesn't change anything about who I was. Like, I determine what my worth is, not a placement. And even if I did mess up, it wasn't a super big deal to me, because it was like, okay, it happened. Like, letting one mistake determine who you are is really, it's a common thing, but it's a really bad lifestyle to live.
You nailed it. So I think you put it in the words of, my trombone and trombone playing don't define my identity.
Right.
And you said, I wanted to see where I stacked up. And now I know. And I wasn't going to pursue anything with the trombone arts. It was just me measuring where I could go and then going there if I got in, and then pushing myself harder. Hey, you basically said, I don't identify, this isn't a part of my identity. I'm ready to move on.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's wisdom above your years. I don't know if that has anything to do with the upbringing you got from your mom and I. Know I talked to you a lot about identity and, who you are, and not who you are isn't have anything to do with what you do.
Right.
So at that meal, I don't know if I had in my mind, and something I never shared with you because I wanted to be very protective of it, was instead of college, I always had it in my mind. I've talked about this with Josh from the Brotherhood. If you didn't want to do college and you ever told me I want to pursue a business, in my mind, I had always thought, well, I will invest in that business. But I never told you that beforehand because I didn't want you making that decision based on the incentive of having, instead of us paying for you for college, we're going to give you some seed money to run a business.
Right.
Did you know about that?
No.
Would that have changed your track or your mindset before the whole college experience?
I don't think so. I was already invested enough in kind of the business world. But going back to what you said, and then what you said a while ago with like parents and their kids, I think parents want their kids to succeed, obviously, but I think they kind of have a closed mindset on what success really means. Because like the baseball example, maybe the dad was wanting to get into the minor league, or I don't know anything about baseball, but and he didn't make it. So he wants his kid to succeed. So he wants his kid to make it into that area, but maybe that his son doesn't want to do that. And I think you have to have a more open mind of what success really is. I like kind of the wealth doesn't necessarily just mean a lot of money. It could mean great family relationships. It could relate to money, but more being satisfied with products in your life, basically.
That's cool. So here we are, and let's just we only got a few minutes left, so let's just talk about what happened at that dinner and what came as a result of like, hey, what are you gonna do? Like, we got to have a plan. You got into some other colleges where like, are you going to go there just so you have an experience? What are you going to do?
Wait,
so tell the audience what happened, what the plan was that we came up with at that point.
That I was going to almost shadow underneath you, and I'll also shadow underneath any other business partners that you or people that you may know, and take that opportunity. Basically, just be open to experiences to like gain knowledge and maybe create an idea with what I want to do next year.
Yeah. So we're very clear with anybody we talk to. This isn't a gap year. You're literally doing what we call an entrepreneurial internship, and we're paying you a little money, but you're responsible to be working a certain amount of hours. And so what Bryson's doing is he's shadowing, he's learning, he's in on meetings with me. We're talking about business. He's learning what ClickFunnels is, and he's learning about marketing and helping with some of the marketing of Brotherhood of Fatherhood, which is probably going to be the real focus. He's going to be coming to the big event. In fact, you and I have a big trip. We're going to be driving up and ending up in Montana and we're going to go preview that. So what are some of the biggest things you're looking forward to as far as, this next year, learning, connections? What have you kind of like, what are the things you're kind of hanging your hat on? Or this is really why I want to do this?
I just want to learn how to, in the future, basically not have to worry about money. I don't want that to be a big stress in my life. I know at some point it will be, but I want to look at all these people that have succeeded and learn from their mistakes rather than me having to learn it from experience. Of course, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes and failures, but learning it earlier on will definitely help out a lot in getting that set up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I'm super excited. Are you?
Yes.
Knowing some of the things, we have a big road trip. We're going to visit the Montana, and then we're going to come back here. We're going to head right out to Mississippi and do a week of business content creation for the other company. How are you approaching each day in this experience? Like, what's your mindset? What is your goals? How are you? It's been hard transitioning to, like, my dad's super busy. I got to try and figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
But what's been great so far? What's the struggle so far?
Well, it's been really nice just to like wake up every morning and know that it's not just going to be autopilot mode, because that's what I really hated about school, is that it's like I already know what I'm going to do the rest of the day, but I can't do anything else. I just have to sit here. And I really like this because maybe there'll be a new opportunity the next day, or right after I wake up, you're like, oh, hey, we got a business call that just came in, and maybe you could learn a couple things off of it. That's really exciting. But of course, it's also kind of scary because I know virtually nothing about like some of the stuff that you guys are talking about on your business calls. So it's like, great, I'm trying to get experience, but some of this terminology, I have no idea what you're talking about. So
Right.
it's a slow process, but
It's like drinking from a water or fire hose, basically. We're just,
yeah.
and that's really the what we're doing is we're just literally just immersing you in everything. And with repetition, we know that you'll start to understand, and you'll probably, Bryson, I truly believe if you immerse yourself in this for a year, you will have the tools necessary to build whatever business you want. Because this is, you're being exposed to so many different businesses, so many different people. You're doing a sales training with the Sales Dojo, my friend Joe Marcoux, and you're immersing yourself in opportunities. So what would you say to parents who are talking to their kids about college right now, and maybe they went to a college and that's life. That's like they literally you're going to this college and they've never considered anything else.
That's dangerous. Yeah, I think that you don't want to conflict your child's mindset on and that's also going to conflict with what they think success is, because if they end up they'll probably end up going to the school that you want them to, because that's just how most kids work. But if they maybe don't get as good of grades there, or their major isn't something that they wanted, they might feel trapped or like a disappointment, even though the parent may not actually believe that. It definitely sets the tone for that, and that can spiral into really dangerous areas.
Yeah. It's not that college is wrong or your parents' college is wrong. It's just, I think the thing you're saying is check your motives and check the people, the motives of things, right. Those pushing you in that direction.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any friends, and you don't need to make any names, that you think are being kind of like doing things that basically their parents want them to do and not them?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you know that that's the case?
I can tell with the kids' personality, or the way that they talk about college, or it's almost the kids that go to ask you what you're majoring in just so you can ask them the question of where they're going to college.
Right.
That's really common.
Right.
And I get a lot of different responses about what I'm doing. Most of it is positive. It's really only two ways, either really positive or really negative. But so far it's been pretty positive feedback.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody that said, well, okay, so you're taking a gap year, to really be successful, you got to go to college?
Well, I don't really care about what other people say.
Good answer.
I think that most people that say that are only saying that because they might be upset that they spent all that money going to college for something that they might not have had to.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of jobs that do require college, and it's really important. But if someone were to tell me that I'm not going to be successful without going to college, that just kind of brings up the competitiveness aspect and just wanting to prove them wrong.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You probably got that a little bit from your mom and I, I'm sure. My current business that I run outside of the Brotherhood was born because someone said I couldn't do it. And so, but that person said it because they knew I would dive into it. They knew I would try and figure something out because they knew how I operated.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got this year ahead of us. And you're not going to college. I think it's very important for us to let everybody know that we're not anti-college. You and I are not. Like, if you want to be a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, I mean, there's so many careers that you have to do that.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely the path. Have you put college out of your mind altogether?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
I don't really know. Yeah. I mean, maybe that'll change later on, but so far it's not even a thought anymore.
How have your friends responded to this whole situation as well?
Well, I need to get better at explaining what I do, because they're mostly just curious, but either they are very supportive or they just think I'm taking a gap year, which I don't really bother taking my time to argue, because it's not worth my time. But that most of the responses are like, oh, that's cool. So if you're not majoring in anything, what are you going to do? That's mostly the questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. So what would you say to a parent who has a young child right now, then their mind has always been focused on, well, they need to go to college. What would you say to them now to prepare them to maybe have a little more open mind?
I don't think you should focus on what they should, like what college they should go to or stuff in that nature, but more of finding what they're passionate about or what their interests are in and what they think is really fun doing, and then go off of that and then find the most successful path to that way. Because if you're just going to college just to go to college basically to get where you want to go when it's not necessary, then I think that's setting you up for failure, because everyone knows that college debt is a big kick in the face. So yeah. I think you just kind of have to be more open with that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Hey everybody, thank you so much for listening. Here's the truth is we just want to lay out ideas and paths and expose Bryson's experience through the coming year. He's going to be a continual guest on here. We're going to talk about what it's like to be my son, what it's like to grow up and have parent relationships. We're going to have real open conversations about the perspective from a youth and sports, athletics, music, school, academics, watching your parents fight, get along, all that stuff. I want to talk about it. What's that?
I was like, yeah.
So we're looking forward to kind of unwrapping this. Another thing we're going to talk about, we're going to be filming and do a ton of stuff about our trip. We're taking a 2-week road trip, 4,000 miles. We're driving 4,000 miles in my manual transmission truck. Yeah. So guess what you get to learn to do?
Yep.
Yeah. So, we're just going to try and live out what's going on in our lives. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, well, I don't run a business, Scott, and good for you, Bryson, that's great, but I don't have the opportunity to do that. I would say if your child is interested in pursuing business, you can go get a business degree. That's going to give you the analytical part of a business, which is typically corporate based. It's not small business entrepreneur based. There's more entrepreneurial programs coming out, which is really cool. My question is why is somebody teaching an entrepreneurial program? Unless they're like super successful and they're just trying to give back, it's not someone you should be learning from.
Right.
Because they probably have no clue really what it takes to build a business. So we're going to be talking about that journey. But if you don't have the opportunity yourself to walk your child through that, or you have a relationship where it would just be, horrible, a horrible experience, which for us, it's going to be amazing. We're going to have some rough spots.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to have some rough spots. We're going to have some amazing memories as well. But start thinking now about options you have as a parent. Like, what do you want? What could you do now to set those experiences up if that's the decision your child makes? Maybe you leverage some friendships and start talking to your friends. Hey, I know my kid's only 5 years old, but you're really successful in business. What do you think about when a kid turns 18, just coming and working for you for a very minimal fee and learning everything, or even working for free instead of going to college? Is that something you'd be interested? And start to look for people and opportunities. And maybe you just work in a labor field and maybe they want to learn your trade. Like, don't underestimate that they don't want to do what you want to do or do want to do what you want to do. And don't underestimate your circle, that influence. Like if a friend in another state, and we're hoping to find some people, says, I would love to have Bryson come out for a couple of weeks and learn my business. Bryson be on the next plane probably, hopping in his car and driving. And so there's opportunities everywhere. So don't shut down just because you're thinking, well, that's nice for you, Scott and Bryson. That's not something we can do because we don't own a business. Business owners all understand what it takes to build a business and all want to pass that baton. They want to pass that torch to other people. They want to glean that knowledge and share that knowledge and watch it grow in another human. So just broaden your circles. And maybe it's not business. Maybe it's someone who's an architect and your child's just not quite ready for college. Maybe you set them up with them, but you do have to go to college to be an architect or an engineer or something of that nature. So we want to challenge your thinking. We're going to talk through this as we go so you can learn from our experiences, what not to do, what to do. Right now, things are going well. It's a little difficult because I get started in the day and then I got to do what tell you, hey, here's what we're going to do. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining this podcast. We're going to be coming back and forth with conversations, Bryson and I, as well as our regular guests. So be watching for those. If you are not subscribed to this podcast, that helps a ton. Subscription, just hitting the subscribe button will do nothing bad for you. It just keeps us on your feed. So please do that. It helps a ton. What helps even more is giving a review, a rating and a review. So subscribe, rating, review. And then if you're a parent, if you're a father, go to Brotherhood Fatherhood Facebook group, hop on in there. If you're a parent, you can always just follow us on Instagram, Brotherhood Fatherhood, or all the same content as at Scott Rammage. And I tag Bryson all the time, so you might want to start following him because he's going to be sharing his journeys as well. We thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for listening to the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, your family, and follow us on social media. If you are a father, make sure you join our Facebook group, the Brotherhood of Fatherhood. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more podcasts from the Brotherhood of Fatherhood.